Hi, and welcome to another episode of Fitness and Friends. I am your humble host, Dr. Bob Ruano. Today on the show, we're sitting down with one of the largest guests I've had on to date. His given name is Gary McClain, but we all know him as Gmac. Looking back through time, thanks to social media, it seems Gary has known exactly what he wanted to do as a kid growing up here in Gainesville. Actually, it would seem he's had two interests, bodybuilding and entertaining. Now, decades later, Gary's created a life that nurtures both of these passions. Here to tell us a little more about his journey through fitness is the one, the only, Gary McClain. What's up, fella?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, you know, when I reached out to you to see if you'd come on the show, I kind of got the feeling that you're like, I'll do it because we're friends, but I don't really have much to talk about. Yeah. And I think that's only because you're extremely humble. So let's lay a little groundwork for our listeners here.
Sure.
Obviously, you're a massive man right here, but not always the case, right?
No, yeah.
So when did you first start getting into this? Like, I saw pictures like when you were probably 8 or 9.
Yeah. Well, I have a. One of the interesting things, my dad was into fitness or whatever, but we also had one of my babysitters, her son, who's at the time was a football player, and he just had big arms and all this stuff. So there's actually a picture of my Instagram somewhere with me and him flexing, you know, and I was probably like 4 or 5, but I just remember those times, like I always was attracted to the muscle, the look, and big fan of He-Man, all that stuff. And as I got older, you know, I just kind of followed into the fitness realm and looking at things because I had asthma really bad. And playing sports and stuff, I was always kind of like on the sideline or having to come out of the game because I couldn't breathe or whatever. And when I got a hold of it, I said, you know what, I'm not going to let this hold me back anymore. Like, I need to find something that I can fit in and do this. So lifting was there with the same intensity, but I didn't have to worry about the cardiac aspect of it.
Right.
Well, then I kind of grew out of that in high school, so it worked in my favor. But in high school, man, it took off. I was 14 when I first started lifting, and we had a high school coach, our weightlifting coach, and I was on the weightlifting team.
No, this is at Buchholz?
Yeah, it's at Buchholz.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Coach Carter. Shout out to Coach Carter if you're listening. But anyone knows that guy was just an intense animal of a coach. That's like cool. He was world class. Strongman, strength conditioning athlete and coach, and he just had this way with us as young men. I mean, this is what you got to do it. Yeah. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. And
so you bought in.
Oh yeah. Well, because I felt it wasn't a cookie cutter thing. It was this is how it's done, and I like facts. So when he starts writing on the board, this is how you do 5-3-1 in a progression for strength training, powerlifting. This is how you do pyramid sets, all these things.
So he was doing that, and how long ago was this?
This was 96, 97.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, at that age, I'm like a sponge.
Yeah.
As I'm hearing these things, I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. Like I couldn't learn this in class,
right?
You know, so I'm going to use this as class more so than just lifting.
Now, were your friends also involved with this, or did you kind of lead the way? I mean, because I get in high school. Again, there's a lot of different, little different circles you can run in.
Right. Well, I would say I was more so of my friends, my group, because I was in the band. I was on the drum line, and so I was kind of looked at as like, oh, he's just in the band, whatever. But I knew a lot of people because my dad was a teacher and a dean at Fort Clark Middle School.
Okay.
So over the years, everyone kind of grew to know me as, oh, that's Mr. McClain's son. And he was just the cool guy that everybody always knew. Like, for me, it was dad, but, you know, I have to look at it what everyone else looks at it as.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget just saying, you know what, I'm not going to be framed as this person just because I'm in the band. Like, I still do other things. So when I was lifting in high school and he was teaching us about eating and all these things, I was doing it. So I was bringing an igloo cooler to school with food, and I would eat all day. And this is just my life. I didn't know any different. I didn't care. People just, oh, he's
impressive.
You know, you look this guy with a cooler. You bring your food to school, blah blah blah. But I'm like, guys, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
But when I started, you know, doing well in weightlifting, I was in the 154 class. I would win some local stuff. You know, I never went to state or anything, but it gave me the drive to want to just keep going, whether I did anything greater or not.
Right.
And You look at these photos.
I was just saying, so that bottom photo, that's you at 17?
Yeah.
Look at that smile, man. So
I was ready for the world.
well, and two, for, being in the drum line as well, that passion for entertainment.
Yes.
So was that just on the field doing that, or would you notice that in like your social circles too?
And social circles for sure. Like, I'm more so the person, like, if you know me, I'm wild, causing ruckus. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't know me, I don't really show that to everybody.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel like it's something that I need to walk around and be like every day, all day, you know?
Right. You don't have to be on all the time.
Right. You turn the switch off, be normal, whatever you want to call it. But in school, you know, I was loving I'm doing this and we're doing that. And so between drumline and our performances and different things we did, because we had class, we actually had a drum class. So we actually put together true performances just to drumline ourselves, which is, you don't see very often.
Yeah.
So it went from that, and I've always loved to dance. So dancing and all these things just kind of have their way. And what I found was later on, being fit helped because I didn't have to worry about going to, you know, the band camp or drum camp or practice and being out of shape or, you know, being winded. Like, I could march the field all day long.
Right.
And you're playing and going, and it is what it is. The adrenaline's going. So I found the passion on both sides.
So that's what you got to do, George, is get biceps. Like, you guys run, buddy. You got
Yeah, I always had these weird little muscles, you know, things that pop out from drumming.
Now, that middle picture, how old are you there?
They're 23.
23?
Yeah, 23.
So at some point, you said, okay, I'm going to make a profession out of this.
Yeah.
So you've been a trainer since, how old?
I started training unofficially in 2003.
Okay.
So it would have been around the same time.
Okay.
But what it was is I had a passion just for helping people because I had learned so much in high school. I'm like, people don't even know this, so I can help others, you know. So I wasn't certified or anything as a trainer, but I was helping friends and get my feels and see if I really wanted to go that route. And I started seeing a lot of success with just basic stuff with friends and family. And I said, you know what, this is it, you know. So I started some courses at Santa Fe because while I was in the band, I was going to Santa Fe. You could, you know, kind of do a dual enrollment type thing, yeah.
Right.
And so at Santa Fe, my anatomy and physiology teacher, Dr. Howell, I think she's still in Gainesville actually. When I was finishing the courses, AP 1 and 2, she was like, you know, this is very natural to you. You're flying through this. Like, what do you plan on doing after this? And I said, well, I was gonna, you know, go to a 4-year and exercise phys, this, that, and the other. And she was like, I would think twice about that. And I was like, okay, what are you suggesting then? She was like, look, you know all this. You're gonna do great at it. But here's the deal: if you go and do that, you're gonna be 20 grand in debt, and you still have to have a certification. And I'm like, all right, well, so should I just go get certified? Like, what? She was like, get certified and take the next 2 years and go try to find the best people in the country that you can learn from. So I did that. I traveled all up and down the East Coast. I went out to Texas, all the way around, all the way down to Miami. And I was just doing that for 2 years and taking seminars and courses and different things. And by the time I got back and really settled in and started training, all the kids that I went to school with were like, well, what do we do now? And I'm like, you got to go get certified. You got to do this, you got to do that. They're just like, screw that. And I was like, well, I'm already here, so.
Yeah, it's a life experience. I mean, that's the best education there is.
And I can tell you, bar none, like doing it hands-on and working with these people that I work with. I have several mentors. I don't even want to start mentioning them. It just gave me this aura of like, I know what to do. I know how to help people mentally, but I also want to learn how to help them with this physically. So I went the nutrition route, all the different styles of training I could find, really learned biomechanics, all these basic fundamental things that, you know, help the body move. And what that did, it allowed me to expand my career as a trainer by helping people with what's in front of me. Instead of saying, oh, you need this, you need this. I don't like groups of things.
Right.
I literally say, what do I have in front of me? What's our weakest point? We need to build from there.
So, and that's something we talked on just before we started the recording, that meeting people where they're at.
That's exactly.
And not force feeding them a particular template or a workout routine or a nutritional plan.
Exactly.
Where are you at? And
Right.
then you go to them, grab their hand, and take them along the way.
Which I'm sure you see that too. Is your profession? You know,
Yeah.
someone comes to you as a chiropractor, like you got to know, I can't just do the same thing. Everyone's different, has different needs. So
Right.
yeah,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you have not only taken this from a profession, but also into, if we look at that picture on the left, not bad, George. I mean, yeah, not bad. Okay, that's a Grey's Anatomy book right there.
What's funny is I see the things I got to fix and work on. You know, that's just how.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'm happy with it, but
Yeah.
it's just, you know.
You're
I
like,
mean,
"I like
I didn't want to say anything. But, you know,
that
there's some
pinky
spots
toe
there, you know,
really
Hey,
could be.
let it all out. All right.
yeah, you know.
Now that, I mean, that's it. How long ago was that, Gary?
This was back in August. So I did this show was the Florida State, which is a big NPC show. It's probably one of the biggest shows in the state and the oldest. So it has a lot of prestige, and I ended up placing second in the heavyweights. My goal was to go in and win, but I literally
Unbelievable.
gave everything I had. So I didn't feel, you know, I was like, hey, I lost in a sense, you know, but I won myself because that's the best package I've brought to the stage.
Well, I
so
think
far.
that says a lot. If you know that you put everything forward, and with it in your sport, there is that variable of opinion.
For sure.
You know,
It's a
and that makes it
subjective
tough.
sport, yeah.
Right. That makes it hard. It's like it's not a time or it's not a particular weight. There is a little. It's like gymnastics. You know,
Yeah.
there's a little opinion that goes into scores. as well.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, there's so many things they judge on in bodybuilding. So that's why when people want to go pro, I'm like, well, wait, are you a pro yet overall? Like, the things they look at on the stage is not just your conditioning, it's not just your size, it's not just your shape, it's all of it. It's your posing, it's this and that. So that whole thing has to be done before you even get to the stage.
Right.
So you live in this life as a professional to get here, because if not, then you're not ready for a pro stage. So, and I'm not a pro, but you know, if that never happens, that's fine. I live the lifestyle of what I can. You know.
Well, again, that's a lifestyle decision too.
Yeah.
Because I imagine as a professional bodybuilder, that's 24/7.
It is.
It's like,
It is.
okay, I know the kids are sick, but I need to get in bed by this time, because I'm needed to wake up at this time and start eating it. I mean,
Yeah, it's a whole other world, and now having little ones, and my niece, you know, of course, it's 3 kids in the house. It's not nearly as easy.
well, another reason, and again, I mentioned this, why I wanted to have you on the show was, you know, you've been doing, you know, in the fitness industry for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And in your profession, you know, there are a lot of egos. It's like who can bark the loudest.
Sure.
But I never got that vibe from you at all. If anything, you're very much under the radar. Now, I guess, you know, George, when you're the biggest motherfucker in the room, no one's gonna,
You know, I
you
was
don't
gonna
need to
say,
count your own
he
horn.
looks like he can bark, right? Like
But he doesn't need
I
to.
wouldn't-
You don't need to.
I'm a gentle.
Well, you know, I was telling him as we were talking about this, like kind of related to my son, who's, you know, he's a sophomore now wrestling, and he made some posts about a win that he had. He's like, easy win. Exactly. And I was like, listen, there are no easy wins. There are no easy losses. There are only lessons to be learned, and you know, you just do the work. And your work will speak for itself.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of confidence, self-confidence to do that.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I think any kind of the barking that we talked about is probably a sign of like some insecurities.
I think so, for sure.
And so if you're like kind of more involved in that, you kind of stay out of the fray. And I think that's where you've been all along.
Yeah, you know, I to kind of, I guess, elaborate on that, to me, and this goes with anything, when someone's passionate about it, I'm a very real world visionary, right? And a lot of the stuff that we see in our daily life and our face, it's not real, you know?
Yeah.
Being a professional at something, according to who? You know? So you have to look at these things for yourself and say, well, where do I fall based off of what I love to do and what I believe?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not to say that you can't carry yourself with a higher standard, but you can't have an ego and thinking like I just know it all, no one can tell me anything, or this or that. So my vision of the world is literally, what would I be doing with this if there was no platform for it?
Yeah.
Would I still be doing the same thing? Absolutely. That's just who I am. That's the passion of who I am. So I just roll with it.
Yeah. As far as like exercise is concerned, I mean, you said you and I probably started around the same time. We were aged, 12, 13, 14, whatever it was. And, as I said, I don't think I've ever gone like more than a week or two without doing something. Some sort of training. And it's like, I don't feel like I'm that dedicated or whatever. It's like
what you
it's just what I enjoy doing. Yeah. And if it ever gets to the point, and I've been close where I don't enjoy like the process anymore. You got to recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes just because you can compete
doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
When you can take a break, a step back, or say, you know what, there's enough of that. There's another arena for something else. And I even look at that in bodybuilding. It's like, I'm not going to be competing forever, but I have made a name, so to speak, in my area, and I know a lot of people, and I DJ these shows and things like that. So for me, being able to go and give back in a different way is huge, because now I'm still involved. I'm still on the stage, and some shows I get to guest pose that I've had so far. So being able to do those things, it's a great feeling, because I'm like, all right, well, when the competition days are over, whenever that may be, I still have this. I can still get on stage. I can pose and do all these things.
I was going to say, looking at that last picture that was just this past August, I don't think you're ready to hang it up yet. But how old are you?
I'm 39. I just turned 39 last
week.
So
you got the 40s coming up.
That's it. I'm right on the cusp.
All right, I like that. That was a big, exactly.
Listen, I'll be 40 in December.
Let's
go.
You know what? It gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that, okay, I'm aging to that bigger number, but it comes with a benefit.
Yeah.
AARP discount.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So you mentioned a little earlier the term cause a ruckus.
Yes.
Now, this has become like your mantra.
Yes.
Where did this all come from?
Well, so I used to be a camp counselor back in the day.
So now this all makes sense. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big kid. At the end of the day, I love kids. I'm a big kid myself.
Yes.
So when
you haven't changed from that bottom 17 or other than
no,
you're about 150 pounds.
Yeah, it's just a visual. Everything else is still the same.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
I mean, that picture on the top is a handful of, that's what, 4 or 5 years ago. And the kids used to see me around the middle picture.
Yeah.
When I was doing camp and stuff, and they were like, they called me the general, and they were like, oh, it's causing ruckus. They're always causing ruckus. And I used to listen to Wu-Tang's Bring the Ruckus, whatever. And so to them, it resonated as who I was.
Yeah.
Because when the song would come on, like if we went to camp outs or whatever, I'd play it, and I'd be like, I'm saying, bring them on, Ruckus. And they're just like, and they love it. So they're like, oh, the general's going. So it just turned into this thing. And so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna roll with it.
Well, and I think that kind of the way that you've established your life and the way that you build up your clients, that is a good mantra. Mix things up.
Yes.
Change your what you've been doing, because if you don't, you're gonna get the same result.
Same results.
Mix it up, get a different result.
And that goes back to that whole thing. If someone comes to me, I meet you where you're at, I know I can improve something. And everyone has different things they need. So there's this whole thing. So going along with causing a ruckus, there's this other side that I have called silent rage. And people ask me about this all the time. They go, what is this all stuff you say, whatever. So I'm gonna put it out here now. Causing ruckus, that's the hype, the fun side, the energy, the entertainment value that I like to bring and share with people. The other side is the silent rage. That's where I'm reserved to myself, internalizing what I need to internalize. So when I go to the gym and I lift, I don't scream, I don't yell. It's silent rage. That rage is inside, and it's being used for its own energy to produce something. So either way, everyone has that side to them to some degree. It just depends on what it is. So for me, I've always resonated and say, even some of my clients, I'm like, hey, tap in that silent rage. You're having a bad day. What's going on inside? Let's use it. And they're just like,
we talked about that. The sort of it's training, particularly heavier training, and its positive effects for anxiety.
Yeah, big time.
Giving an outlet, a productive outlet, as opposed to the bottle or ice cream. I don't know why I look at you.
Like,
Are you an ice cream junkie?
I used to be. I used to be a
Oh,
big.
this is a great story. If you hadn't listened to George's original episode,
I don't think I've heard
you
it.
got to go back.
I used to be like 300 pounds.
Stop.
As recently as
Wow.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You
used to
wouldn't
be all
recognize
about-
picture of him. I mean, a complete 180.
I'm gonna go
this
back
guy.
and check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to eat my fair share of ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't blame
but
you.
like I said, he went in. He decided to cause some ruckus.
That's right.
He channeled that inner
That silent rage.
that silent rage,
That's it.
and look at him now.
And he's here.
I didn't look like that.
That's all right though. That's all right though.
I don't lift enough weights. I'm not cardio.
You are, but we're gonna flip the switch on you. We're gonna flip the narrative.
Yeah, you get.
I get so bored with
So-
lifting weights. It's my fault.
Well, you're right because you're addicted to the adrenaline or the what's the is the dopamine?
Dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Release.
dopamine rush you
It's
get
great.
from that. I get that.
Well, here's what I do. I have people that are the same way. So again, like if you came to me, you told me that, I'm gonna say, okay, well, we're gonna put you outside of your comfort zone first,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to your comfort zone last.
Yeah.
So we
I
have
like
an
that.
hour. I can take 30, 35 minutes, put you through a weight training course, and then you're fatigued and broken down. But now we actually get to push those dopamines, the
Yeah.
dopamine and endorphins to the next level that you're not used to. Then at that point, you say, I'm doing best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And guess what becomes funner about that? Your strength correlates into your cardiac. Because, so for example, the rower, right? A lot of times people row, and you can tell by the fan, the power is being put behind it.
Right.
So when I demonstrate to my clients and they hear the power, they're like, holy cow, like you can generate the lights in this place.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's-
Yeah.
Right. So I said, but that's the difference between having the strength background and also being able to use it here. So I can push 200 meters and just crank it out. But then I may go over, and now I can kettlebell swing with not a 30 or 40, but a 60 or 70. I can then do medicine ball slams with a 25, 30 pound, ball. So those things are always, you have to say to yourself, how are these things going to work together?
Yeah.
Do
Do you find the clients you work with more into the bodybuilding world, or is it general fitness?
Primarily general fitness. I've helped a few bodybuilders here and there.
Well, one in particular, you took her almost to the top of the profession.
Oh.
You know who I'm talking about. This is McClain.
Yes, my wife.
Man, I'll tell you. So, I harp back on this and that said, look at this group right here, man.
That's us.
That's awesome. And she is just as crazy and out there as you are.
That's right. We're literally.
You guys are an amazing couple.
I always say like she was sent to me because when we got together and we started hanging out or whatever, my mom had just passed a few months before, and she passed on July 19th, 2008, and so I met her in October after I did my first competition.
Just a few months later.
Yeah, and so we got to talking and hanging out, and she told me her birthday was July 18th, and I was like,
Yeah.
everything stopped. Because, at this point, I'm in a different mindset. I've already lost my dad, so I'm looking at life a lot differently and signs of things. And so for that to happen, I'm like, man, I think you were put here. My mom probably hand-selected you and said, here, this is what he needs. And I just listened. I kind of just followed. We didn't rush anything. We just hung out and we got great as friends first. Because that's all I wanted at the time. I didn't want to do anything more. And so as we were hanging out and we were talking about bodybuilding and all these things, she was like, I want to try it. And I'm like, what do you...
Yeah.
You even know what it is? Like,
She was a school teacher at the time, yeah?
well, she was still in school.
Yeah,
She was
okay,
finishing
yeah,
up.
she was- yeah.
But she would go to Southwest Rec and do classes and stuff like that. But she didn't really know, really how to lift or do anything. So I set her up with all this and got her rolling. And we took 2 years. And this is one thing I always tell people nowadays that want to compete. Take your time. You got to build a physique. It's a physique
Yeah.
competition. Yeah. So I said, we're going to take 2 years so you can come out guns blazing. And sure enough, she won her first show. She won her second show. Then she goes to nationals all in the first year. And she placed top 5 at nationals out of 51 girls. And I was like,
Yeah.
what have I done? So she's been a staple in my life in that aspect, and we both love it. We both just love challenging our bodies. Nutrition, wellness, the whole nine.
Well, I was just say it seems like a full circle. I mean, you guys have obviously your passion for one another, but also your fitness and now kids.
Yes, the
Can you
kids.
believe that?
Yeah, then that's the cycle of life right there. We never talked about in the beginning, getting to that point. But you get there and you're like, wow, we're here.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have these 2 wonderful little girls that are just, I mean, the best, man. I mean, you know as it is as a father. So having them and living
I
for
do,
them.
but I don't have any daughters.
You don't have any girls. I have all girls.
That's a whole nother deal, man.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
People always say, they're like, you're great for a girl dad. Like you're the in the right place. And because people always ask, do you want boys? And I'm like, I don't really care. You know, I just want to be able to be a good father figure and
imagine the first time one of these girls goes on a date with this guy, and this guy comes to the door.
Yeah.
Sure. and that's it's
silent rage.
Doesn't say a word. Just,
What's up, man? What's going on? You know?
Don't smile.
No.
That smile.
Don't smile
like,
here.
he's a teddy bear. No smile, man. That's awesome. So, so what's next for you now?
I don't really have any plans. I'm enjoying training right now.
And again, training with is the stage still your goal?
I don't know right now. Like I'm such in a weird place. You know, a lot of people know, some people don't know. But my sister passed away in August, so that was a huge blow to me because that was the last of my intermediate family. You know, mom, dad, now sister. It's like, whoa, what's going on? And now I have my niece, and you know, raising her. She just turned 10. So our family dynamic is very different. There's a lot of growth, a lot of change. So my whole world is push back. Let me focus on building the family and getting where we need to be as a group.
Absolutely.
And then I can figure out what's next, you know. But even in that sense, like, you know, business is doing so well in different aspects. Even just my shirt, this TWG, I've been training with Gmac on Instagram forever, but I now have a purpose to use it. So I'm launching a full-on business layout with Train with Gmac. And I'm going to focus a lot of effort there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know, regardless, you know, that family unit is first and foremost.
Always,
and everything else is just designed to complement your support and care for that unit.
And it's crazy. I mean, there's times, you know, like I DJ on the road and stuff. So when I'm gone on the weekends, like when I leave, or it's the night before, because a lot of times I leave and they're still sleeping in the mornings or late at night. And I give them hugs and kisses and let everyone know. And
for those who are watching, this picture is just a badass picture.
And listen, when he tagged me in this video, I was like, dude, I didn't even know you took this.
That's crazy. It gives you goosebumps.
Yeah, but that right there, that in essence is what it's like at a show. That's me on the stage.
Yeah.
That's the room, and I'm getting set up for finals.
Yeah.
So as I'm setting up, I'm looking at the whole room like, okay, what's the vibe going to be like in here? What do the acoustics need to be like?
You're not just up there, let's throw some music on.
Nah, I'm full in. Like every time I go and do whatever I'm doing production-wise, that's just, I bring everything with me. I make sure I'm 110%. And I want the crowd to feel like I'm here for them.
We have a clip. I think this was a recent show that you did. Let's go ahead and play that, Elio.
Yeah, this
is pretty cool because you're back DJing. You just walked onto the stage.
Yep.
And you start this stuff.
Yep. So this is popping. I've been popping as a dancer for 20 years, 21 years now.
See those pecs jumping, George?
I started hearing the cheers at the text group.
Oh, yeah.
So
to me, I think this is incredible because the amount of body mass that you have, but you still have complete control over. That has to be helpful.
Yes.
It has to be
for sure.
a benefit to.
Well, people always ask, like, how do you move like this in size? And I'm like, I think it's because I evolved into it from dancing and then going into it, you know, size-wise. I never stopped. So I just really learned how to maneuver myself. Right. But I'm big on therapy. A lot of massage therapy, a lot of my own stuff. So, and then this.
Look at this.
So this is now we go into posing. So that same feel I have from dancing goes into posing. You know, I use the music to complement, you know, what I'm doing and vice versa.
That's awesome.
So this show is the Monster Classic, which is funny. I actually just did this, DJ this show this past weekend, but this was 2019. So.
That's crazy, man.
So is this the weight that you like walk around at, or is this competing weight? Is this?
So here I was, I just done a show a few weeks earlier, and I was getting ready for another one. I think a week or two after that.
Gotcha.
And so that was actually, yeah, I ended up winning both of those shows that year. I didn't win the overalls. I won my weight class.
What
in Best Poser Awards. So
what are your macros like?
yeah, good question. So they vary depending on what I'm doing. But like right now, you know, I'm kind of in this coasting phase. You know, I'm not competing, but I'm not trying to grow or anything. So my macros stay pretty based around my training, the bulk of it. But I do 50, 55 grams of protein, 6 meals. I keep my fat around 60 grams a day.
50, 55 times 6, so we're talking like 300 grams of protein a day?
Yeah. So my weight right now is like 230. I fluctuate between 234 and 236.
Okay.
And the food kind of complements that, so I keep track of where my macros need to be based off of where my weight is. So I only weigh myself once a week, but I use the scale as a tool in the sense of what am I doing visually and food-wise. It all goes together. So if I step on the scale and I'm 234 in the morning, but I like to be in that 236 range for training purposes, then I know I need to increase food a little bit so I can stay in that zone. So it all depends on where you're trying to go. But for right now, that's where I fluctuate. So, and then my carbs for the day, I think right now I do 350 to 400 a day. And I tolerate them, just fine. Like they just burn. Like I'm warm right now. I can feel it. So but the whole activity of the day, I base everything off training. So if it's a training day, then I'm doing 400, and then in my I do a drink while I train. It's got amino acids, all those things. But I do 50 grams of carb powder there. Mm-hmm. So that way my training is fueled the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm done training, or the days I don't train, I usually keep my carbs around like 300, and I'll use that as like a cardio day and a mobility day. Yeah.
As much as I would love to do what you do, I'd find the motivation. I used to like for that dopamine stuff, but my dopamine comes when I look in the mirror. I'm like, yeah,
that too. Now,
my wife says I could never do it, and she goes, my nutrition is like takes such a back seat for me,
right?
And she's like, if you want to do something like that, that is front and center.
That's it. That's I tell you the true, honest key to being a successful bodybuilder is consistency with the food and the training. Mm-hmm. Everything else kind of goes around. Yeah, you got to sleep, you got to supplements and different things, but your core is your food.
Yeah.
If you're not eating, you're not growing. If you're not dieting, you're not getting shredded. That's just how it goes. And anyone that can attest to this, that's been through a prep, knows that it gets rough. You get to moments where you're like, man, 2 or 3 weeks in, I'm like, I'm just gonna go binge eat or whatever.
So I used to work at Gainesville Health and Fitness Club, and I knew a kid. I don't know if you know him. He did this stuff for a little bit. Jeremy Clavier.
Taller guy.
I don't know. Average. Okay. I don't know if he still does it now. Yeah. But I remember watching him the week or two before, and what he would eat. And he would just be like, I'm miserable, like gearing up for a show because he did the posing and all that. And he was just eating like just chicken and drinking broth and water and jalapenos, like straight. Like he said it was awful.
See, this is the downside of the competition world, because there's no complete 100% rhyme or reason. Right. So whoever he's learning from or listening to, that's their belief and their thought process.
Right. It may have worked for them, but maybe not for him.
Right. Now, ideally, if you really want to do well in any of this stuff, you have to look at, well, what foods work for me in my body? Like, what can I digest? What can I process? All these things. That starts in the beginning. So if I'm golden in the beginning, my body's making progress. When I get to the back end, there's nothing changing. Yeah. And that way I know exactly that I have control. Yeah. So it's funny that you're telling me this, because as a coach and competitor myself, over the years I've been through some of these avenues, and I've seen different things, and I see the way people do things, all the way to the other side of it, where people do IFYM and they never come in shape and they can't figure out why. It's literally a foundational set point, and you have to use that foundation for what's necessary for you. So for me, I tend to do well with rice and potatoes and a lot of basic grains and foods. I switch my protein sources quite a bit. But But what that does is it's taught my body to recognize and use the enzymes that I have available to break these foods down. But when you don't use foods and you take stuff out, your body can't use them, can't process them because the enzymes are dormant. So therefore people always think I have stomach problems. I'm like, no, you don't. You need to expand your variety of your diet, and then you can handle anything. So when it comes to a prep and you're 2-3 weeks out, yeah, your food may be low, but you're still eating good things. I still season my food. I still, have some sauces that I like, My food's good. And you can go, anyone that wants to see, you can go on my Instagram, and in the top where you have the highlights for the stories, I have one that's like 100 slides of just food. So if people want to see what it's like and what I eat, you can see it.
Yeah.
And that way it gives people an understanding like, man, this is not as bad as it has to be, or,
Hey, George, I know how he's getting that, what did we say, about 300 grams of protein in? His new hobby.
Yeah.
Look at that son of a gun.
Yeah, that's a monster.
You said that's a tile fish.
Tile fish.
And explain to us again why you told us why you call it a tile fish.
So the inside of the fish, the fillet, the meat it's in blocks. It looks like tiles.
Man, see, for me that'd be perfect because I would think I would take those, I would fry them. They're like nuggets.
Yeah, like
nuggets.
nuggets. Yeah, you could literally cut them just in boxes if you wanted.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's great eating. It tastes good. I think I ate on that thing for.
It looks like a while.
Probably 3
days.
6. I probably had 6-7 meals.
6-7, right.
But yeah, that's been I've always loved the fish. It's just it's one of those things time wise you don't really
For sure.
But as I get older, again, that's one of those things that I'll slow down and I get on the water more. Me and my buddy that's in the picture there on the side, his name's Ryan. He's also a client of mine, but that's how we met. And him and I both love the fish, so we take the time and travel and do as much as we can. Yeah,
kind of decompress as well. So
yeah, exactly.
It's fun, but it's also good for the soul too.
There's no service, there's no phone.
Yeah,
just.
Well, hey, Garrett, I appreciate you jumping on here today and giving us a little more background on this bodybuilding. Like, this is attainable stuff, but it has put forth the effort.
For sure. Gotta work at it.
I had a way of running. Oh, before we do, a couple questions for you. And I don't know if this is applicable or not. And probably to you, it's not. But have you come across a challenge of any sort where you felt like, this is going to slow me down or derail me for my end goal? And then you faced that challenge and come on the other side. And you kind of mentioned something in our talk about losing your mother.
Yeah.
And how 3 months later, you met the love of your life.
Jen, and it's definitely bittersweet. You don't think you're gonna lose your mom as young as you do. And I was 24 and 23 with Dad, so it's like your whole world's upside down.
So back-to-back years.
Yeah. So it was rough. And
did you ever at any point to say, to give it up?
A few times. I remember laying on the couch specifically one day, curled in a ball, and just shaking like a leaf. I couldn't eat, couldn't do anything. And I was like, what's the point of me being here anymore? All these things, you just run through your head.
Imagine, yeah.
And, you're scared. You're like, well, am I next or whatever? All these things. So I probably laid there for 3 days, and my roommates were like, yo, like, you okay? Like, what do you need? Whatever. And I was just like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't. And they didn't know how to help because, who goes through that? It's not a common thing people deal with.
Right.
So, long story short, I ended up calling one of my aunts, and I said, hey, that's where I'm at. Who are you going to see? She was like, I'll set you up an appointment. Just show up. So I went to see a therapist, and I just wanted to talk to somebody I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they had some.
And not get the rah-rah, but get the straight dope.
Yeah. And that was super helpful because she listened and she gave me 2 or 3 tips to help just to back away from myself. And in that process, one of the main things she said was continue to do what you've been doing because that's what they would want for you. And at that age, you don't really know that. Now I'm older, I'm like, that makes sense. So I was like, okay. So I remember when my mom was on her last few breaths of air, and I went to go see her at hospice, and I said, hey, Mom, here's the deal. I'm going to do this show in honor of you, and whatever happens, happens. But for you and Dad, this is the one thing you guys never got to see me do. And so after that, I put the blinders on, the solid rage came out, and I went to town, and I just trained, and I've been training that same intensity ever since, because that's what saved me.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding literally saved me.
Yeah.
I was fighting, I was doing things I didn't need to be doing, and then Jen comes along, and it just kind of helped balance the whole thing out. She was by my side if I had problems, breakdowns, trying to go through legal stuff I had to go through, you know, bills and stuff I had to pay off for them, and I mean, she was there.
Yeah.
And still to this day, we went through the same thing with my sister, and she's been right there.
She's a rock, man. You guys are such a strong team. It's inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
One other really deep question.
Yeah, what's that?
One exercise you could do for the rest of your life.
Oh.
What would that be? One exercise only.
So I've said this a few times, and I've had some interesting feedback on it. But this just goes from my own beliefs and mechanics and what the body needs to have on a day-to-day basis. So an exercise I chose would be the overhead military press.
Love it.
You know?
Love it.
The reason being, it's powerful. You know, you got big shoulders. Who doesn't want big shoulders? Mm-hmm. But more than that, it's the aesthetics of your physique.
Makes the waist look more narrow, George.
Yes, all of that. I mean, he's in the position, but he's hanging.
That's right.
But that's what it looks like, you know what I mean? So I literally thought to myself, well, what do most people fail at in life as they get older? It's posture. Mm-hmm. And as posture starts to fail, we start to have a compression on our organs.
Right.
And all that stuff gets folded in there, and then we have health problems based off of space limitations and movements. And so for me, if you're in this position holding weight, you're building those erectors and you're keeping the spine healthy and safe. You got to use your glutes and your legs to stabilize the weight at the top. Your core's got to work to stabilize. Yeah. So you're getting a whole body workout to a degree.
Yeah.
If that's the one exercise I have.
I like it. And there's a lot of science backs that too. You know, I think you talk to the strongman, any of the strongman competitors, they say that's the one lift, that's the separator.
It is.
If you have a strong press, you've got a lot of strong everything.
That's right, because that area is such a foundational movement for overall power. Yeah. And let's be honest, those guys, when you have a log here that's 300-400 pounds and you go to press it, if you don't have the rear support, you're going down.
You're gonna collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, those particular things that lead to training that get you there, but the press in itself can't beat it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, George, anything to add on that, my friend?
No,
all right,
it's good. It was good. I learned a lot.
Well, again, appreciate you coming out. I actually wrote an outro today. So let's see how that goes.
Of course.
I usually wing it, but I'm like, let me write it down. So thank you once again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. I think Gary's a tremendous example of what it means to follow our passions in spite of it all. It takes bravery to force the naysayers, conviction to overcome setbacks, and internal belief in self to block out the noise. So what's been burning in your heart that you need to pursue for you? Get out there and start causing some ruckus. Catch you guys next week. Thanks again.